as we continue on with our coverage of Journey Together, this time we're going to be checking out N Zoroark EX, and its really cool ability, Trade, which is really just the refinement ability, where you discard a card and then you get to draw 2, which makes it a really strong draw engine that's native to the deck, so you don't have to worry about running things like Dunsparce or River Room. You just have a native draw engine inside of your deck automatically, which is very good. It also has the Night Joker attack for 2 dark energy. We get to choose one of our benched N's Pokemon and use its attack. And the way that we're going to be doing that is by mostly comboing off the Darmanitan for early game damage with the Flame Body Cannon, where we discard all energy from this Pokemon, and this attack does 90 damage to your opponent's bench Pokemon as well as 90 to the active. So it is a really good way to snipe out slower decks. Think of something like Dracopult if they want to go and they don't want to Rare Candy to the Dracopult right away. If they go Dreepy into the Dracloak, we are able to not only knock out one Dracloak by bossing it up to the active, but we also can snipe one out on the bench, taking 2 out right away, which is very, very powerful. One of the other cards that we're going to be using is N's Reshiram. One, because it has the powerful Rage attack, where if something attacks into us, because we're at 280 HP, we're pretty tanky for the most part. There's not a lot of things in the format right now that just completely one-shot us outside of things like Raging Bolt. So once we are able to kind of eat that damage, we're able to attack back and one-shot pretty much anything that attacked into us with the powerful Rage. But also we have the Voracious Flame, and thanks to the Voracious Flame, it gives us a basic attack for 170 damage that is just kind of consistent damage. If we can't get anything else off, we'll be able to two-shot whatever we need to with the Voracious Flame, so it is fine to have, and it's kind of the attack we end up using more than anything else. One of the things that we're also playing in this deck is 2 copies of the Terapagos. The main reason for this is that we are going to be doing the Trolley and Area 0 Underdepth kind of combo, mostly because this deck really relies on bench space. And we're going to also be playing the Pecharunt EX, because in this deck we're not playing N's Castle, and so we need the Pecharunt to be able to move our Zoroarks around as much as possible, so that way we aren't really stuck in the active. Since we're only playing Pecharunt to be able to move, we're not playing N's Castle. Most of the time it's completely fine, but just make sure that when you're playing this deck, a kind of mental hurdle is making sure you prioritize having your Pecharunt out, so that way you can move that around. It also is a pretty strong late game attacker that we'll be able to use. One of the other things that we're playing is 2 copies of Evolution, since again we want to be able to go Trolley right away. We're playing 4 copies of N's PP Up. This is mostly because of the fact that we're also playing double copy of Energy Switch to be able to move those energies around. So think being able to throw them onto a Reshiram, then move them to the Terapagos, or being able to move them from the Zoroark to the Pecharunt in the later stages of the game when we have to, or even moving them to the Munkidori to be able to get that additional damage down that way. We are playing 1 copy of the Powerglass. This is going to be really useful to help us get our energy back after we go the Flame Body Cannon, and then we're playing 1 copy of Defiance Band just to push that damage a little bit higher sometimes when we need to. It can make a difference. But yeah, that's pretty much the list. We're going for supporters, 4 copies of N, 2 copies of Boss, 3 copies of Iono. Keeping it really simple and streamlined, we really just need to make sure that we're getting our items as consistently as possible. That's why we're running the Ns. We do run 1 copy of Night Stretcher, 4 copies of Nest Ball, and 3 copies of Ultra Ball. There's an argument that you don't need that much when you are playing Trolley, but the main thing is that if you don't get your Terapagos out, the Trolley Area 0 depth doesn't really work. So I want to make sure that I'm at least getting the Nest Ball or the Trolley in my opening hand, so I can always Arven for the alternative. So make sure that I have things set up. But yeah, that's just about it for the list, so let me know any changes that you would make to it. I know a lot of people are also playing like Prime Catcher, or I've even seen some lists play the Hyper Aroma. I prefer this, but definitely let me know what you guys think of the list. And if you're interested in playing it for yourself, it's down in the description below. But before we get into the first game, I want to give a shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for that additional level of support. It really does go a long way. It means a lot, so thank you so much for that. And yeah, for everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you've seen my videos in the past and you're not subscribed, why don't, you know, give it a chance. If this is your first video, stick around to the end, see how you feel, and subscribe then if you like the video. But yeah, that's just about it, and we'll jump into game 1, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 1, and we're going to be going, or our opponent's going to be going first, rather. We open a kind of okay start. We do have Ultra Balls to get the energy in the discard if we need it. Our opponent is going to mulligan. We see Hydreigon. That's pretty interesting. We'll see what we get off the top decks. The Ultra Balls are a little bit unfortunate, but not that big of a deal. Let's see what we top deck. We do get our Darmanitan. So we could put priority into Ultra Balling for the Zorua, just trying to get that started as soon as possible. We see a Nest Ball. I wonder what they'll grab. They could go for another Dino, Fezandipiti right away. That's interesting. That's Spike Energy? Okay, well. We'll go Arven. Grab these. Unfortunately, we don't get the max value out of this. That we would really prefer, because we just don't have access to Area 0 right now. But it is fine. We're not, like, you know, that beaten up by it. We'll be able to go Evolution on this turn. We'll grab ourselves a Zoroark and Darmanitan. Yes, we can evolve them, but it will allow us to just use them as Ultra Ball targets now. And if we can find ourselves a either an Earthen Vessel to get ourselves some energy and like a PP up, that'd be great. There's a couple different things we can get. Or even if we just get a regular energy to attach to the Terapagos and just start attacking, that would also work. We'll see. They could go Grand Tree and go right into Hydreigon. That's interesting, I guess. The main thing is that we'll just retreat out here. This is interesting. Okay, so I kind of like the idea they have going for them right now, where like it's gonna be some kind of mill style where like if we attack into them, they're gonna have the lucky helmet to draw 2, and then they're gonna be doing 20 damage to us. That is pretty interesting. I wonder if they're even going to be able to use the Obsidian. I have a feeling that they won't be able to. The Energy Switch loss kind of sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. We'll go trade. I'm fine getting rid of one of the Darmanitans. We do get a Boss's Orders, which isn't terrible. It would allow us to take a KO potentially onto like the Mew if we can get energy to power ourselves up, but we probably won't be able to do that. We see 1 energy here. There's nothing that we really need to Ultra Ball for, so I think at this point we could put the damage down, or we could put the energy down and just do enough damage to prep a KO potentially. It does give them a couple cards, but I'm not really as worried about that, because they'll be at 180. We'll have the option to go ends PP up, put the energy onto the Zoroark, then we just have to find 1 more energy. If we can do that, what I'd be willing to do is just go Boss's Orders, pull up the Mew, go for the flame body cannon. Oh right, they're gonna go Grand Tree because we couldn't pop that. All right, so we have to pop the Grand Tree, that's for sure. The benefit that we have, honestly, that's fine. Our hand wasn't really that great. The energy into reversal isn't terrible either. There's a Pecharunt. It depends on what we're able to find. We obviously do give up a KO here. Losing the double Arven and our stadium definitely sucks. The main thing is that if we're able to get Zoroark's powered, we'll be in a pretty decent position. We can go ahead and go trade here. Okay. That's pretty good. What we're really looking for is like ends PP up now. We didn't find that, and that definitely kind of blows. We'll just go energy onto the Zoroark. And yeah, I guess that's fine. There's not really much else we can do. Losing out on both those Arvens really sucks, because if we could have gone PP up, we attack into this, we actually probably couldn't KO it anyway. So we are going to need the Rage. Lost his orders. What, for the Pecharunt? Oh, for the Reshiram. We lose Powerglass. That's a little bit annoying, but honestly not that big of a deal. If we can pick up the Reshiram again and get ourselves into a Defiance, that would be super ideal. We're gonna go and we'll get rid of this. Just pull the energy out of our deck. We have to be careful just because we don't want to discard everything. We'll get rid of the reversal at this point. I don't think it's going to matter. We do get ourselves an ends, so that's good at least. We'll be able to attach that. Let's go trade. Where we do get the Arven, we can use that to get Defiance Band and Night Stretcher. We can go Night Stretcher to pick up the Reshiram. Place that down, go Defiance Band, then go Energy Switch to that. Energy down. Then what we'll do is go for the Voracious Flame. Knocking out the High Dragon, they are going to get some energy, or like they are going to get, you know, some damage down on us and draw some cards. But we're less worried about that. Obviously, we don't love it, but the goal is to see if we can find one of our other Ionos on the next turn, drop the Iono. If we can get Flame Body Cannon off, knock out the Mew and the Badoo, that'll give us 3. And if they attack into us with the High Dragon, then we will be able to go Rage. We also have the access to Super Rod into the Nest Ball and Boss. So the play is really going to be... Okay, there's the Iono. We have to deal with this because the Obsidian is going to hurt us for sure. if they go retreat Mew into Badoo to item lock us for a turn, then we could look for Counter Catcher. We could look for Counter Catcher, knock out the Mew and the Badoo by going Flame Body Cannon. That would put us down to 1. Oh, they put Fez in the active. We do get the boss's orders. Ends PP up. The question is, do we want to go boss? Because the problem is that if we go boss, we can get the KOs on this, but then we don't have the option to Iono. Do we lose if they go Obsidian? No, right? Because Obsidian will knock out the Reshiram, but nothing else. So I think we can pull up the boss. I think that's fine. We'll go trade real quick on the Ultra Ball. We can't afford to play the Munkidori down, unfortunately. I wish we could. If we had 30 damage on us, we would be able to. I think the play is that we leave the Badoo alive. Because if we keep the Munkidori in hand and we find ourselves a Dark Energy... do we have another Energy Switch? 1, 2, no. Alright, so we'd have to go Munkidori down and look for a Super Rod and then be able to draw into the energy that we Super Rod back in. Because the ideal scenario would be to go Munkidori down, just move the damage afterwards onto that Badoo. We'll be able to go Fez as well. Because this is assuming that the Reshiram gets knocked out here by the Obsidian. We still have Super Rod in deck, right? Yeah. So we'll Super Rod for triple Dark Energy. Okay. So they didn't have a way to reshuffle us, so I think they were just worried about the Badoo. We found a way to play that out. That was way closer than it should have been, though. That was an interesting kind of situation. The Grand Tree made it a little bit harder, and then we kind of bricked a bit. So, yeah, that was interesting. I think the problem is that in that scenario, for them, they have to go Obsidian, because if they go Crushing Headbutt, they don't deck us out, and then we attack back with Rage and win. But if they attack with Obsidian, they have to take the Reshiram knockout. They go down to 2 prizes. It does open our bench up. They had no way of reshuffling our hand, it appears like, so they just didn't have Iono. Had they had Iono, that could have been a little bit harder because we would have been down to 1 prize. and then we would have had to rely on double trade, but they just didn't have it. So yeah, we were able to clutch that one out. That was a very close game, but definitely difficult. But we'll jump into game 2 in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 2. Our opponent chose for us to go first, so that's what we'll be doing. This is a very subpar going first hand, but maybe we'll get bailed out by the mulligan. We just see Luxurious Cape and Dust Noir. That's interesting. We do get a Nest Ball. That's at least something. We get another Area 0. I think our play is to go Darmanitan here and pray, because we can't really do anything else. We'll pass. If we can get into an Arven, that could work. We see Buddy Puffin for our opponent. If we get Badooed here, then we're really, really going to struggle. Yeah. Alright, we need to top deck into Zoroark. And if we don't, we're probably boned. We'll play the Munkidori down. I guess we'll go scratch for 20 and start playing, or praying. If we had a Dark Energy, we could have made that work. It's possible to still come out of this okay, but we need to get pretty lucky with our incoming top decks. We would need to go top deck for Zoroark, place the Zoroark down, then go trade, and have trade for Darmanitan and a... Okay, actually, this is possible now. Because we can go Darmanitan. All we need to do is get ourselves into a Zoroark and a Dark Energy. We can pop the Dracloak and be able to pop the Badoo. Okay, there's our Zoroark. Here's our Zorua. Here's our Darmanitan. And then what we'll do is go Iono. Reshuffle both. We unfortunately did not find ourselves in energy, but we can go trade. We'll get rid of the Ultra Ball. We didn't find ourselves in energy. That sucks so bad. Alright, we just go Evo here. Man, if we found an energy at all, that would have been so good, because then we knock out the Badoo, we get rid of this the Dracloak with the energy on it. We take 2 prizes. We're in a position where we could get ourselves in, we're like fine to survive an attack, which would force them to have to use a Duskull in order to put us into KO range from a new Dracopult. They wouldn't be able to make one without Rare Candy and like other pieces. So we would have been in a really good position. We could still, in theory, get there from an like upcoming turn. If we can get into boss's orders, like if they don't go Dracopult, like if they get greedy with the Badoo, and we can get ourselves into boss's orders, that would be really, really good. I don't think that's what will happen, but it would be ideal. The only other outcome that works for us is if they make Dragapult retreat, attack into us for the Phantom Dive without going Duskull, and then we're able to get into our Reshiram, go Rage, knock that out back, prep a Zoroark to then go and KO these on the bench. But since they put the energy on, I don't think that's the outcome that'll happen. But we'll see. Again, if we're item locked for the turn, we still have the energy. We can KO this, but we do see Ultra Ball here. So I feel like it's going to be for the Dragapult. They'll evolve into Dragapult, then prep Duskull. Or prep for the Dusclops. I'm confused why they're running Legacy Energy. Or, sorry, Reversal Energy. Wow, they just go straight Phantom Dive. That's huge. Because we can just Rage this down. Okay, this puts us in a pretty decent position, honestly. So what we'll be able to do is we'll go energy down. We'll place the area 0. We'll go trade. Get rid of the band. We do have Reshiram now, so we can go for the Rage. We'll go Arven here for Trolley Powerglass. We use the Trolley to get ourselves the Pecharunt, Fez, and another Darumaka. We can go Powerglass here. Go trade on the extra Darumaka in our hand. And then from here, go Night Joker for the powerful Rage. Getting the KO and being in a pretty good position overall. Because we now have access to the Darmanitan as well. If they don't make Dragapult again, we're in a great spot. If they make Dragapult, then they'll need reversal. Well, no, there's nothing they can do outside of they would need Crispin, because this already has a item attached to it, so they can't go Sparkling Crystal. This build's weird, though. I don't know what the reversal energies are for. I could understand the luminous energy, since it can work on Munkidori as well. But, yeah, that's... I don't know about the reversal. Unless they're trying to attack with, like, Dusknoir or something. But I don't get why they would do that. Maybe it's accidental. Maybe they don't realize that they can't use it with Dragapult. So let's see what they get off the Arven. And they go Counter Catcher and Luxurious Cape. The main thing now is to dig into boss, because whatever they pull up won't matter. We can use Pecharunt to pull our Zoroark back into the active. And if we're able to find a boss's orders, pull up the Dracloak and leave the Dreepy. We don't really, like, we don't have to care about the Badoo if we can get that to happen. We get another Zoroark. Let's just see, before we go Iono, what we're able to find. We can get rid of the Ultra Ball. We'll get rid of the other Iono. We'll hold on to that. We can get rid of the Zorua here. Alright. Unfortunate. In this case, we're just going to go Iono. Shuffle them to 6. We do get 1 energy. We'll just play that onto this for now. And then from here, we are going to just go Flame Body Cannon. We'll use that on the Dracloak. Obviously, it would have been really nice to knock out the Dracloak and the Dreepy to stop any form of, like, rare candy play. But I'm pretty sure at this point, there's nothing our opponent can do. If they go Duskull, you know, to finalize the KO on this, we'll be able to bring in our Zoroark, knock out the other one, because it will be trapped into the active, or trapped onto the bench with nothing they can do. Unless they get Rare Candy Crispin, there's nothing they can do with the Dreepy. So they'd need Rare Candy, Crispin, and Dracopult, which I don't really see happening. The problem is that they would be in a really good spot. They just got really greedy with Badoo. They're also playing a little bit of a weird, weird deck. We'll get rid of the Munkidori. Actually, I don't really want to do that. We'll get rid of this. Get rid of the extra Darumaka. And we'll get rid of the... Do we want to get rid of the Fez? Not really, right? We can get rid of the Reshiram. Yeah, because we don't really need the Reshiram anymore, because we have the ability, like, we're just looking to bench snipe either this or that, and in the event that we can't do any of that, we can always put the Dark Energy onto the Munkidori, move damage counters onto this Badoo if they don't put an item on it, and knock that out. Which is what we'll end up doing if they go for the Dusclops to knock us out here. Because we'll go down to 1 prize, and then we just Munkidori onto the Badoo. Alright, there we go. They take the KO into that. We grab ourselves 1 prize. We can put Fezandipiti to the active, but I think it's fine. We can just put ends. There's nothing that can KO it. The only way that we would be in danger in this scenario is if they were able to make Dusknoir and Dracopult, power it up, go Dusknoir onto our ends, and then attack with Dracopult. But they can't even do that because we would win the game. Like, they'd be giving up too many prize cards. And then even if they were to boss up the Pecharunt for an extra 2, the outcome is still the same. We just use ends, we just use Munkidori on the Badoo. Or we use the Darmanitan to snipe out the Duskull on the bench. So there's not an outcome here where we can lose, I guess. Well, yeah, there's not an outcome where we could lose, because they can't reshuffle. Unless they're playing... We haven't seen an A-Spec from them, actually. So they could be playing... They could play Unfair Stamp, so like they could boss up the Pecharunt, go Unfair Stamp, we don't get access to a Dark Energy. And, like, we don't find one through Trade or Fez. And then they go, like, Bravery Charm, they keep this evolved. So that way we can't snipe this out. Hold on. It could be happening. We talk them through a win con. They could be sniping. But in this case, we have Arven, so in worst case scenario, we top deck ourselves, or like we grab ourselves a Earthen Vessel, or not Earthen Vessel, a Night Stretcher, pick an energy up from our discard. Yeah, so there was literally no way to win. There was a like 1% outcome after that unfair stamp that maybe would have given them a chance. But yeah, that's going to be game 2, and we'll jump into our breakdown, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. When we take a look at Zoroark and the Zoroark deck as a whole for our final grading, I think this deck needs a lot of improvement. Not just this list, but the deck as a whole. I think more support coming out for this deck would be really good. But also, I think that it kind of struggles in some ways right now. One, because of a lack of true optimization. I think this deck is going to kind of function like Lost Box, where it's a little bit hard to pilot. And as more time goes on, we'll find better ways and better lists to optimize it. But as of right now, I just don't think it's in the most optimized space it could be. I think it's getting a little bit better with running the Area 0 compared to just running the Counter Catcher, or not the Counter Catcher, the Prime Catcher. But to go over my grading for fun, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's very fun to play, and when it hits, it hits. But, you know, sometimes you just brick and that's annoying, so that's stopping it from getting the 5 stars. The power of the deck, I will give it a 3. I think that it can do a lot. If you're able to set up your Darmanitans early, you're able to, you know, get some good power out of that. You can use Pecharunt as a late game attacker and get some good power out of that. Your Rage can be super strong, but the problem is that a lot of your power is kind of situational, right? You need Darmanitan set up in order to really utilize the bench sniping, and because it's on a stage 1, you know, sometimes getting into it when you really need it early game can be a little bit annoying, because like you have to evolve into it if your Darmanitan gets knocked out from a boss and you need to set a new one up because you didn't have 2, then now it's, you know, completely gone. After the early game, it's really not that great anymore. Your Voracious Flame is nice, but again, you're never really one-shotting anything with it, so you're kind of stuck having to deal with that. Then your Rage is, again, you know, supplemental into the fact that, like, they have to attack into you and not one-shot you for it to really matter, and a lot of times it's not really going to play out that way. They'll play around it if your opponent's good enough, and that's, like, those are all the attacks you have to work with. So it's a little bit rough. I think that if this deck got like 1 or 2 more cards to be able to work with, it could be pretty good. There's an argument I've seen that you can play the Purloin just so that way you always have like a turn 1 attack that can be more efficient. But it's a little rough right now. Going into consistency, this deck struggles against Badoo a lot because you need items to get going. You can go first, or you can go second rather, so that way you get 1 turn of not really being Badoo locked, where you're able to use your trolley to get stuff out. You're able to go Arven, go TM Evo, and like help get around the Badoo. But in a best of 3 format, when you, let's say you lose the coin flip, you know, and your opponent chooses for you to go first, then they Badoo lock you on game 1. Okay, you can choose to go second, and if you lose that game, you can choose to go second, try to win that one, but then if you win, your opponent gets the option of going first again and doing the same thing all over, and this deck really needs things to get going early to get around that Badoo lock. Since you're so item heavy, and like you're very reliant on items or being able to get your TM Evos off and things like that, your matchup into Badoo is pretty bad. Especially because it's hitting you for weakness. Not that that does a lot of damage, but like the little bit of chip damage can end up mattering, especially if you don't get into your Zoroarks and you're just stuck on Zorua. It can be kind of a pain. So I would say its consistency is a 3. If Badoo's out of the format, it gets way better, but Badoo's not going anywhere soon, like anytime soon. Finally, going into the matchup category, there's matchups this deck does really well into. Your Guardy matchup is really good. The sniping that you're able to do is really good. Being able to hit Gardevoir for weakness is great. Your matchup into a lot of like random rogue decks is pretty good as well, because a lot of them aren't really capitalizing on Badoo, so you don't have to worry about that, and that's when you're at your strongest. The problem is at the upper side of the meta, you're going to lose. Raging Bolt is pretty hard because they one-shot you and there's nothing really to snipe out, so you don't really get access to Rage, you don't really get access to your, Flame Body Cannon, so that's a problem. You struggle against Terapagos for sure. A lot of Ogerpon running around is also a problem because it just hits you for weakness. You're not able to really snipe it out. You can use the Darmanitan with the Reversal Energy to try to pick up a KO on one of the Ogerpons. If you go like Reversal Energy and into a like Defiance Band kind of situation, but it's too situational to really work consistently in a lot of the matchups, unless you're like really playing around and like looking for it, and even then it's probably not going to win you the game. It's just going to kind of help like bail you out a little bit. Right now we're also seeing an uptick in the Terapagos with the Bouffalance, and that deck is just very hard for this deck to deal with. So yeah, and your Dracopult matchup isn't actually that bad, but it can be rough. But like you do have outs to Dracopult, because like it's much harder for them to play around like your Rage, and if you can get the Darmanitans off early. So it's not like, terrible, but it's a hard deck to work into a lot of matchups, especially where the format's going with a lot more Terrabox and things like that. But yeah, that's going to be my overall breakdown. Like I said, I'll give it an overall score of 3 out of 5. Definitely a playable deck, and I think it will become better over time, especially if it gets more support. But right now, it's just not in the best position. I don't think N's Castle really does enough to really warrant it most of the time, especially because you have Pecharunt. But yeah, that's kind of just it. And yeah, that's the overall breakdown and the overall review. Let me know what you think and what you would rate it out of 5. I think 3 is fair. It would probably be like mid B tier deck in my opinion. But yeah, that's just about it. I will see you guys all in the next video. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you like these ratings, because we kind of like just started implementing them, definitely give me any feedback that you have for them and how you would rate the card yourself. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.